Hello. Hi. I'm Marin Burhett, and this is Rants and Bants, an entertainment podcast brought to you by The Pitch, the newspaper of WJ. Now you're probably wondering, what is this podcast? Like, what are we going to be talking about in this podcast? What am I going to be talking about? What is she talking about? So in this podcast, it's like an entertainment podcast. So I'm going to be talking about things that are relevant in pop culture. So I'm going to be talking about like things that I care about as well. I feel like movies, TV shows, books, music, everything relevant and everything that people kind of just shove under the rug. Shove under the rug, sweep under the rug. I think sweep under the rug is the right phrase, but I've never really cared for the English language. So, now I know where I'm going with this podcast, but I also like to be a little unpredictable at times. So sometimes I'm going to have like different people on to talk about different things. Sometimes it's just going to be me, only me. And sometimes I'll have you, the audience, the student body of WJ, kind of dictate like what you guys want me to talk about. And we'll do polls and like all that fun stuff. But that is going to be a little further on. So for right now, let's get into what I'm going to talk about for today. So due to this pandemic, I got into reading again. I used to like kind of read as a kid, and I kind of like fell out of it, just because like I didn't have like the resources and everything like where I lived to read books and stuff like that. And honestly, like I just fell out of reading. And due to this pandemic and due to me being stuck at home, I opinionated and how many opinions I had on books that I read, and like how my mind would wrap around a book and like transport myself into like all these different ideas just centered around these books. So, okay. The topic for today's podcast is going to be why books should not be adapted into movies and TV shows. And I know people are not going to agree with me. And that is why I have a whole podcast to plead my case. Let me explain. There are several reasons as to why movies and TV shows should just be movies and TV shows. We do not need to be adapted from books. Yes, it's been done and it's been done well. I think the best movie adaptation from a book that I got was The Princess Diaries. Oh, and you can't tell me anything. You cannot tell me anything about The Prince. I loved the books as a kid, and I loved them. I think I love the movies more than I love. Maybe it's because I just have like an obsession with Anne Hathaway. Like she's my favorite woman. Like I love her to death. So anything she could have just ruined that entire movie, like ruin those books for me. But it's Anne Hathaway, so I have like a different set of standards for her. So I think that's like the only one that I can remember like off the top of my head. I did not read the classics as a kid. I thought they were super boring. I still think they're super boring. So if you like say, oh my god, like Pride and Prejudice, like I don't really, all I know is like Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice. Like when I saw who played him, I was kind of just like, okay, like whatever. Don't ask me, what did you think about that? Like I don't know. I don't care. Did not care for it. Like I did not care for any of those Victorian times books. Like they could not interest me. Like you could pay me and I just wouldn't read them. Maybe I'll read them now. But yeah, so if you say like, oh, they were done really well, like I wouldn't know. Little Women, no. I probably would watch Little Women and read the book just because Saoirse Ronan is in it. Like I'm talking about like this time, just because Saoirse Ronan is in it and I love her. Oh, and if you say, oh my god, Maroon, but what about Timothy Chalamet? Like I don't care about him. Am I offending a lot of people by saying that? Yeah, maybe, but whatever. Anyways, this is like totally off topic. But yeah, so sometimes it could work and sometimes it doesn't work. And I'm going to talk about the times where it's annoyed me. So my biggest thing with like books shouldn't be adapted is I feel like the biggest biggest thing for me is like how movies want to be like concise. And I don't know about anybody else, but when books have like just meaningless scenes, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, I need that. I need that. Like, even if it could have pissed me off in the book. I'm just like, why are we sitting at the same coffee shop? You sat here in chapter 1. Why are we sitting back here in chapter 5? Like, there's nothing about it. It's just a fluff piece. Like, there's just, you just want, the author just wants to put something there for the plot. I mean, not for the plot, just for fun. Yeah, that would annoy me in books, but if I knew that they're not doing that in movies, like, I'd be like, oh my god. Like, and I would sit there for like a 3-hour movie if it properly goes through all of the dialogue that we see in the book, like all of that. Like, maybe that's just me, and that's just like the one thing that I don't think people could understand from my perspective, and that's totally fine. But let me refocus. Another thing is, I'm thinking. Sorry. So I just feel like I don't need to be like as concise as they want it to be. So I don't blame like movie like production and all of that. Like, they don't want every single piece of the book in there. So like, I can understand. But sometimes like, it's, why are you taking out key things? Why are you taking out key things? Like, now you've just pissed me off. Now you've crossed a line. So let me give you like a really good example. So, The Hate You Give. Listen, a lot of people love The Hate You Give, the movie. And I don't love it just because I think I read the book and it just ruined it for me. Oh, I was so annoyed. I was so annoyed watching that movie, especially since I read the book before the movie came out. I was such a big fan of the book, and I was just like really excited, like, oh, the movie's gonna come out. Oh my god, like, I'm gonna get to see, like, first of all, that movie, like, I will get into the other key problems with the movie a little bit later on, but so the biggest thing for me is that they took out one of my favorite characters from the book. They took him out so it could fit in the movie. And it was really my last straw. Like, I was really losing it. Like, because I'm just sitting and I'm waiting for my favorite character to come, and he just isn't coming. Like, he doesn't exist in this movie. And for why? Like, The Hate You Give was such a brilliant book because I feel like, if you don't know what The Hate You Give is about, it's basically like the main character Star, dealing with the aftermath of her best friend's death after being killed by a police officer. And I think like it ties a lot of things that I love in like the, like, not just, it's not just like a book full of stereotypes. Like, I feel like it's a book written by a black woman for black people. So I loved it, and I loved like, it wasn't just, you know, oh, like, her best friend was killed. Like, it's just, it's like a black man being killed by the police. Like, it's a black boy, actually. Like, I hate saying it's a black man. It's like a black boy being killed by the police. And it was more than that. And it was like so many different things. It was like a black person like having to deal like in a white neighborhood, and like how like how they're living in their own neighborhood, and all these different things that make up like the black experience in America. Like, I found it in the book, and not just by one character, but all these different characters. So that's why it hit me so hard when they took out this main character and they made this movie about like one or two main topics, while in the book there were like several topics. And I understood like they wanted to be a little bit more concise, and they wanted it to be a little bit more, they didn't want it to be like so broad that you lost it in you lost the plot in every single character in the movie. And I can understand that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and like when you transfer like a book into a movie or a TV show, you pretty much like lose some of the emotion, I feel, as well. So yeah, if you ever tell me like, oh my god, Maron, did you watch The Hate You Give? Like, you like The Hate You Give? Like, I will not tell you that I like that movie because I really didn't. Like, I really was annoyed the whole time I was watching that movie. Like, all I can think was, wow, we've really lost the plot. We've really lost the plot of the movie because what's going on here? This is not what I signed up for. So I was really upset. Um, so there's that, I guess. Oh, okay, wait. I'm gonna be contradicting myself because I know I said I don't like book to movie adaptations, but I'm gonna just list out another one because I really liked it. So I read the To All the Boys I Loved To All the Boys I Loved Before books, and if you say, oh my god, Mer, all you do is read cheesy romances, yeah, and what about it? Yes, and what about it? Because now you just pissed me off. Like, there's nothing that it's fun. I'm having a good time. I'm having a lot of fun. And if you want to have a problem with that, like, you know what? Whatever. Um, so what was I saying? So yeah, so All the Boys I Loved Before. I don't think of the second book. The second movie. I don't think of it. I just want to leave it out of my head. I don't ever want to think about it ever. But you cannot tell, like, if you read the first book and then you watch the movie, you're like, perfection, actual perfection, seamless. Okay, yes, lost some of its plot, lost some of its, core stuff, but I still had fun. So where do we go from here? Yeah, exactly. So there's that. I was annoyed that they switched the location because I remember I was really happy that, like, in the book they lived in Virginia. So I could actually, like, it was like a lot of, like, I mean, they don't live in the DMV area like we do, but I was just happy it was on the East Coast. So you can imagine my frustration when I figured out they were living in Portland, Oregon in the movie. I don't understand that. Was it Portland? They lived on the West Coast. Midwest, West Coast, whatever, same difference. All irrelevant to me. Sorry. I don't really care. It's like, whatever. Um, so yeah, that's also a seamless movie. I just loved the whole series. It was cheesy, it was fun, I had a good time. So, and was I totally obsessed with Noah Centineo when he first came out? Yep. I've faded out of that. I've grown up. I've matured. I fear, but yeah, I'm just gonna admit that. So back to my points. Let me refocus. If you're going to be listening to my podcast, you are going to see that I fade in and out of topics. Like, I babble a lot. That's probably why I have a podcast. We're going to be going in and out of topics all the time. We're not going to sticking on one. Sorry. So on to my second reason as to why I don't like this. I don't like books into movies, TV shows, stuff like that. It kind of has to do with the concise issues and stuff like that. There's a lot of plot holes. There's going to be plot holes just because, like, they don't know what they're doing. That's what I'm saying when I say, like, they've lost the plot. Because why are we going from, it's in the book, it's going to go A, B, C. Tell me why in the movie we're going from A to B to K to L to C to M to T, U to E to X to N, then Z. You know what I'm saying? There's way too many things that are happening right now. Way too many things that are happening right now. And will I constantly be calling out the hate you give? Yes. And you know what? Like, I pretty much, I already see people, like, coming up to me and saying, oh, Moran, like, the hate you give was, it just was bad for me. Like, now, like, the more I think about it, the more I'm getting annoyed. Like, the more I'm actually getting pissed off. Like, I really just didn't like that movie. I really love the book. So I just didn't like that movie. So yeah, I just feel like there's going to be, like, a concise form in in the movie that I don't want. It's gonna be, like, short and concise, but then it's also gonna have, like, 20 different things that just don't make sense. So I don't know. You know what? I think I'm just gonna start dropping, like, some of the favorite movies of mine that have been based off of books. So I know The Devil Wears Prada was based off a book. Did I read the book? No. I don't think you need to read it. See, The Devil Wears Prada is one of those books that, like, we don't care about you anymore just because the movie was so good. Also, The Confessions of a Shopaholic. If you haven't, oh my god, I don't know why that movie just came into my head again. I used to watch that movie all the time as a kid. I just thought that was the best movie of all time. Like, I needed Oscars, Golden Globes, Grammys for the soundtrack. Do I remember what the soundtrack was? No. But does that matter? No. Because I just feel like awards should have been given. That I don't know if it was given. It wasn't nominated. Like, the things that were done in The Devil Wears Prada and The Confessions of a Shopaholic, like, it will never be recreated, I fear. Will people try to recreate it? Yes. But can it be done? No. Will it still have that same impact? No. Sorry. So yeah. So maybe I'm contradicting myself in a few ways. Maybe. I don't know. But at the same time, like, the books are memorable. Sorry. Oh, wait, and another one. Sorry. It's on my reading list to read Crazy Rich Asians, like the book, because the movie is so fantastic. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm contradicting myself. But Crazy Rich Asians, I think about that movie every 5 minutes. Like, every 5 minutes I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about the soundtrack. I'm thinking about this, like, I'm thinking about everything. I'm thinking, I'm pondering over. I'm just thinking about, oh God, it's so good. It's so good. Give me more. Like, nothing about that movie was bad. Were there a few moments that I could have, gone without? Yeah, probably. But you know what? Like, I had a lot of fun. Like, I don't know if that movie was nominated for any awards. And if it wasn't, then you know where to find me. I'll be rioting in the streets because that was, yeah. But, like, that's the thing. Like, these books are going to be just fading into obscurity because nobody cares about them after the movie comes out. Does that hurt me as a book reader? Yeah, probably. But you know what? Whatever. Whatever. So this leads me to, like, my final point, because I think this is the main reason. And will I be mentioning the hate? Will I be mentioning the hate you give again? Yeah. Is it kind of my hope that everybody just kind of doesn't like the movie and goes and reads the book? Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like, oh, without a doubt. Because the book is just so much better. The dialogue in there is good. There's no cringy dialogue. And everybody comes and says, oh, Merle, the dialogue was cringy. You know what? Whatever. It wasn't to me. The dialogue in the movie was terrible. So there we go. It's not every day. Like, there's obviously some things I could go without, but you know what? Whatever. So it's the representation for me. That's what is pissing me off. There is no good representation when you go from books to movies. In books, you can write that this person, if you catch the reference, you catch the reference. If you don't, you don't. But you could write that this person has a tail. If you could write that this person has a tail, and people would just go with it, innit? Like, yeah, like, people just go with it. Like, not in a romance book, obviously, but like in a fantasy. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. I don't have time to explain. But okay, I'm gonna mention this again. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use another example other than the hate you give. I'll probably come back to it because that was like a main reason, but I'm just gonna go into another book. So I love The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I think that was like the best book ever written. I think it's beautiful. Like, I tell people to read it all the time. I base my whole personality off of it. Like, you won't catch me. You will not catch me not mentioning that book. Like, I love it to death. And you can say, oh, there's like this is the problem with Evelyn, there's Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, there's this problem, there's no problems. And if you're bringing up to me that you don't like the book, you obviously don't care about my feelings, and you obviously don't want to be friends with me. So whatever. I don't care. But my thing with that book, so they announced that it's going to turn into a movie. And I was kind of like, oh my God, okay. Like, I would love to see, like, who they would cast and everything. The casting is such a big problem for me. Like, I rather we don't, like, that is my problem. So in The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, so the main character, Evelyn Hugo, she is not white. She is a Cuban woman who's described as having like light brown skin. Okay. So tell me why I go on Twitter. Tell me why I go on Twitter and I see people casting Kate Winslet as the main character. And what is Kate Winslet? Kate Winslet is white. My last straw. Because what happened? I was losing it. I was shaking and crying. Because you know what? I saw some other horrendous casting decisions. It's like people are fan casting just the wrong people. Like, that's what I'm saying. And it's not even like, okay, these random people on Twitter are obviously, they're not going to be the ones that are like casting people. But it just makes me think, because casting directors don't care. Casting directors don't care. They will cast whoever they feel like they will cast. They don't care about how in the book it describes this. Like, they don't care. Okay. So basically, if I see a white woman playing Evelyn Hugo, you will not see me ever again. You will not. I will be crying in my room. I take it, because I take that book so personally. And if anybody wants to know who I would cast in The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, like my cast, we will talk about that in another episode. Yeah. So this brings me back to what book? The Hate You Give. So in The Hate You Give, Star, the main character, is described, we're not even going to sit here and about the description, okay? Let's just talk about the cover. Before the movie was announced, they had the cover, and I still have the original cover. It was a dark skinned black girl with an afro. And who did they cast in the movie? Amanda Stenberg. Sorry. She is a light-skinned black girl. Like, and you know what? People are like, oh, you know what? She's still black. Yeah, okay. But why can't we stick? Like, it's not that hard to find dark-skinned black girl in Hollywood. It's not that hard. But colorism and racism plays a role in everything. And you know what? Pisses me off. Does not want me to be happy. Nobody wants me to be happy. None of my happiness matters to anyone. Let's see. Yara Shahidi did the same thing happen in The Sun Is Also a Star. Did I read the book? No. Did I watch the movie? No. I'll do that. Listen. I'm getting back into reading. Leave me alone. I just remember knowing what the girl was described as and who actually came out playing that character. Now, am I blaming these black women for taking these roles? No, I'm not mad at them, because a job is a job, a check is a check, a bag is a bag. They want their money, and you know what? I respect it. But these casting directors, like, do your jobs. That's why I just feel like in a book you have more creative, like, you know, you can do whatever you want in a book, but you can't do whatever you want in a movie, apparently. So yeah, these are my reasons. Obviously I think I have like 1,000 more reasons, and I obviously is contradicting myself, because I named a bunch of movies that I like that were based off books. Some of these books I haven't read, and I just watched the movies. So the only ones I actually read were The Princess Diaries and To All the Boys I Loved Before, and I think they did a really good job. To be honest though, The Princess Diaries, even if they didn't do a good job, like Anne Hathaway, she could be stuttering over her lines like I'm stuttering right now. She could be stuttering. She could just be crying and throwing up, just falling all over the place in the movie, and I would watch it. Because Anne Hathaway, that's like my sister. Like, I don't know, like, she raised me. That's my mother. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, that's all I have for today, and hopefully you guys were entertained and I didn't bore you guys half to death, and you guys didn't, if you stick through this whole thing. Yay. And hopefully next episode I'll have something a little bit more fun, not a little more fun, because this was fun. And if you didn't think it was fun, and if you don't read and you just thought like, oh, you know, she's funny, that's important. So yeah, next time we will talk about something else. This is Maram Burhat and I'm signing off. Thank you. Goodbye.